Okay, everyone, here we go. So nice to see you on this fourth day of Chanukah. I brought my show and tell on this 28th day of Kislev. I'm Cantor Shamash. I'm coming to you from Philadelphia this morning, where it's moody, it's rainy, but lovely nonetheless. For today's practice, we will need a couple of blankets or maybe cushions from the sofa as we get down to the floor a little later and do a supported child pose. If you have a bolster, a yoga bolster, that's perfect. And we're going to begin seated. You can do that in a chair. We'll have a bit of practice in the chair, or you can do it cross-legged on the floor is also fine. So take a seat and chair or floor, and we shall begin. Finding the grounding of your sitting bones. And if you're in the chair, as I am, the grounding of the feet on the floor. You might even lift the toes and spread them, and then lay them back down, making a nice wider surface area, fuller surface area in that foundation. And keeping the eyes open or closed. Feeling the rise of the spine from the tailbone, curving up, just like a candle flame zigging and zagging, all the way to the crown of the head. And just begin to land by making each exhale perhaps a little longer than the inhale. A poem by Mary Oliver, "When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness, discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, 'Stay a while.' The light flows from their branches. And they call again. 'It's simple,' they say, 'and you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine.'" I was so struck in this poem by a couple of lines. I am so distant from the hope of myself. And then the trees calling and saying, "Stay a while. You too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light and to shine." This holiday of light and of rededication, becoming less distant from the hope of myself. We'll start to investigate and appreciate this miracle of the body. We're going to start with a breath practice known as 3-part breath. I think of the spine as the wick of the candle, and the breath really as the contour of flame as we increase light and as light rises. So the 3-part breath, I'll just explain it first before we practice. We sip a little bit of air into the low belly and pause. And then we sip a bit of air into the rib cage, the middle third, and pause. And then we sip the last bit of air into the upper third, the upper lobes of the lungs, all the way to the collarbones. We pause, we hold, and then we exhale fully. And then we repeat. The inhale is through the nose. The exhale can be through the nose or through the mouth as you prefer it. So let's try this together. It's a couple of cycles in and out of the breath, simply as it is, fully in. And fully out, land those sitting bones. Fully in. And fully out, drawing the navel to the spine, getting out that last bit of breath. And we begin, inhaling to the low belly. Pause. Inhale to the rib cage. Pause. Complete the inhale all the way up. Pause. Fully exhale, nose or mouth. Getting there all the way out, belly to spine. And then let the lower belly bounce back. Inhale, first third. Pause. Middle third. Pause. Upper third. See that the shoulders stay down even as you do that top third. And then completely exhale. And again, letting the belly bounce back. First third. Pause. Rib cage. Pause. Upper chest. Pause. Hold the fullness. Completely exhale. Keep it going. A few cycles on your own. Feel free to put hands on as you go, if that's helpful. Feeling the completeness of breath in the torso, filling the torso, rising along the spine. If this breath in any way makes you lightheaded or dizzy, please abandon it and simply return to full breaths in and out, slow, easy. With each renewed cycle, finding perhaps a little more nuance, another crevice of the torso that might be filled with breath. Filled with light-giving, life-giving force. Nishmat Chaim. And as you complete your next exhale, and if you're just beginning a cycle, take your time. When you complete the exhale, come back to a regular breathing pattern, inhaling and exhaling. So this idea of Chanukah Bayit, the dedication of the house, as Psalm 30 says, Mizmor Shir Chanukah Bayit LeDavid. Let's sing a song of dedication. How will I remain dedicated? How will I remain dedicated or renew dedication to this body, my body, this house in which I live? During this week and during these upcoming days and onward? Is the body more for me like a port in a storm? Or does the body feel to you more like an opponent, like an aggressor, these aches and these pains that I have to fight. And so how can we cultivate a conscious sense of how we want to dedicate ourselves within these bodies that are changing every day, our dedication to these bodies, these homes that do so much for us. My rabbi gave a beautiful sermon this past Shabbat on the Shammash, which is, of course, my name. So that was exciting. It was fun for me. He talked about the light of the Shammash is the light that is not diminished by giving, right? And he asked for us to think about who in our life, who in your life is a Shammash for you, is a light, is a beacon, is a giver, to reach out and thank those people. And to whom in your life also are you a Shamash? And how can we keep feeding this ability, this light that can give and not become diminished? So I love that idea of, how we can find that sense of shamashhood, shamashness within ourselves. And I want to look at the prayer that comes after the brachot for the candles, Hanerot Halalu, which is so important. It says, Hanerot Halalu anachnu madlikin, these lights that we kindle, al hanisim ve'al haniflaot, for the miracles, for the wonders. It says, V'chol shmonat yemei Chanukah, for all the 8 days of Chanukah, Hanerot Halalu kodesh hem. These candles are holy. Ve'en lanu reshut, we don't have permission, reshut, lehishtamesh bahem, to use them, to make them part of our ego agenda, right? To use them for reading, to use them for our purpose, to, if we expand that, to use others for our purposes, to use this earth for our purposes. Ella, but lirotam bilvad, only to gaze upon them, right? So they're not for typical everyday use. They're miraculous light for us to gaze upon. Kedei, in order to, why? Lehodot ulehalel l'shimcha hagadol, to praise, to give thanks to your great name. Al nisecha, for your miracles, ve'al niflotecha, for your wonders, ve'al yeshuatecha, and for your salvations, your everyday saving graces. So in our yoga practice, giving honor to this body, can we approach our practice not for striving, not for our own use and our own taking and our own making the body better or prettier or even stronger, but simply for being present and beholding the body, just beholding. So today we slow down a little bit so that we can appreciate, we can behold. So we'll begin with a little bit of cat and cow. I'm turning to the side simply to show you a little bit of arch and curl for the spine. So beginning sitting up tall, again, reestablishing the foundation. As we inhale, begin to come to the front of the sitting bones, start to draw the elbows back, arching the spine, taking the gaze upward. And as we exhale, drawing the belly to the spine, curling, coming to the back edge of the sitting bones, maybe taking the hands forward toward the knees. Inhale, arch, lift the heart space, lift the chest, lift even through the low back, draw the elbows, the shoulder blades toward each other. Exhale and curl, navel to spine, supporting, making a nice wide open C curve. Inhaling and lifting, keeping this going in your own time, in your own breath, very smooth. Inhaling and exhaling. There's nowhere void of breath and nowhere void of movement in this pattern. This lovely dance of the spine, arching and curling. Feel free to drop the jaw and make a sighing sound, or even add voice on the exhale. Nobody's around, nobody's near you. You can make all the sound that you like. It's wonderful. It helps release toxin from the body. And then as you come to center, pausing, finding center. And now we'll take a side bend. So inhaling the right arm up, exhaling, taking a side bend over to the left as you ground through that right sitting bone, whether you're in the chair or whether you're on the floor, really grounding down through the right sitting bone, opening the right side body, extending through those right fingertips. On your next inhale, come back to center, windmill, change the arms. And then exhaling, taking a side bend over to the right. Just exploring as you breathe. Where can you soften? Appreciating the opening, the fanning open of those intercostals, those side ribs and the muscles between them. Inhale, come on up to center. We'll go again, other side. Exhale, side bending over to the left. And now you can play a little bit with the torso, with the head, maybe gazing down, turning the torso down. Inhaling as you turn the torso, the head, neck up. Exhaling down. You can make that small or large. Just playing on that plane. And then inhale, change. And exhale, side bending, right? Just feeling the deliciousness of this, maybe exhaling and turning the gaze, the torso down. Inhaling, lifting up. And then inhale back up through center, take the arms down. We'll take a twist now. Inhale, lift the spine. Exhale and twist to the right, sliding the hands forward and back. And you can take any kind of hand position here in this spiral, in this twist that feels good for you. And possibly the left hand to the outer right knee. You might take the right hand to the back of the chair. Remaining in this twist, so not the deepest twist, a place you can stay for a little bit and work into. As we inhale, lifting the spine, lifting the ribs off the hips. And as we exhale, spinning those ribs, coming maybe a little more deeply into the twist. Remember that neck is part of spine and head is part of spine. Remembering to treat the whole upper body as one. And then slowly making your way back to center. Inhale here. And exhale, we'll spin to the left, a little or a lot. In this, as in the whole class, my words are simply a suggestion, a framework, an outline. Please work at your own desired intensity. That might be less than I'm doing or more than I'm doing. You do you. Grounding the sitting bones as you inhale, you lift the spine, we lift the crown of the head. We make space. And as we exhale, the rib cage spins. Again, neck and head are part of spine. Soften the gaze. Soften behind the eyes. Notice if that has any effect on the twist, on the twisting action. And then inhale, we make our way back to center. We'll take the shoulders up and around a couple of times. As you do so, appreciating the miracle that is this shoulder girdle. All the bones that make it up, collarbones, shoulder blades, the ball and socket joint of the shoulder to the upper arm, all the muscles and ligaments, so many that make function possible through the neck, shoulders, the upper arms. What a miracle. And then allow this shoulder girdle simply to hang, neck very long. And we'll take the head side to side, gazing over the right shoulder. And gazing over the left shoulder. Take it slowly. Bringing the eyes across the horizon. Letting the action originate with the eyes. This miracle of seeing. And sight really helps our kinesthetic world to organize itself. So leading with the eyes, easy eyes. And then coming back to center. And take the right ear to the right shoulder. Let it be heavy. Let the head be heavy. You might take the right arm up and over if you like to have a little extra sensation. And again, you might take the gaze down a little bit up. Getting all these little micro movements and sensations in the neck. Feeling an opening across the neck, the upper quadrant of the chest, and then inhale the head up to center. Just pause and notice, does one side of the upper chest feel different from the other? What do you notice? Part of being able to be dedicated to this body is being attuned to the sensation of this body. So we simply practice attunement, greater attunement to sensation. Inhale, and as you exhale, take the left ear to the left shoulder. And again, you might take the left arm up and over. You could extend through the right fingertips. Many options. You can take the gaze down and up. And then as you're ready, coming up to center, take the arms behind you, maybe to the chair or through the chair. You could clasp hands and send the knuckles away from you. If you're on the floor, you could just come onto the fingertips, draw the shoulder blades together toward each other. Begin to open the chest a little more. Shine the light of that heart space forward. And you could take the chin to the chest, or you might prefer to extend the gaze up and open the front of the throat. Both are wonderful options. Lengthening the front of the neck or the back of the neck. Lifting the heart. Sending some breath into those upper intercostals and then releasing. right? So sometimes we really forget about this upper piece of the chest, and there are all these ribs and muscles in between that we can stand to open, and they will help greatly in our respiration, which is something we want for our immune system. We're going to come to all fours. You can move the chair to the side. Coming to all fours with the wrists under the shoulders, the knees, under the hips, and you might prefer a variation onto the fists if this is not so comfortable for the wrists. Always bringing the energy up out of the wrists, not pressing down and putting extra weight into the hands and to the wrists. We're simply going to rock forward and back a little bit. Just playing, finding a newness in this body. Long spine, inhaling as we come forward, and exhaling as we draw the hips back. And playing with this again, one long spine from tailbone to crown. What does it feel like to ease up on the spine, to have it in this orientation to gravity? Right? So there's not so much pressure down to the low back as there is when we're sitting or we're standing. You can feel this spine quite weightless. It's beautiful, miraculous S-curve. Inhaling forward and exhaling back. And maybe you'll take the movement a little more so the buttocks come all the way back to the heels on the exhale. And as you inhale, the shoulders perhaps come a little bit forward. And then start to take a circular motion. So hips out to the side and back, around to the other side. And you'll find the edges of that perimeter. Just playing. And then perhaps the other direction. Might be circular, it might be more of an oval, trying to make a smooth shape, an outline with the hips. And then pause at center. Now we're going to isolate the rib cage and make circles. So it's, again, a little bit of an arch and curl, but hands and knees are in that neutral position as we come around. You can bend the elbows and come towards the mat. You can straighten the arms and curl at the top. Again, carving out a little improvisation here with the rib cage, and then taking the circular motion in the other direction. What is it like to be in this body this morning? And then completely playing. Take any movement with rib cage, with upper body. Could be a figure 8, something kind of fun, wacky, improvisational. Just feeling out where this rib cage, where all these muscles can take us. And then finally, sitting back, the heels to the buttocks. We're going to thread the needle in this position. Now, if this is a lot on your knees, you can bring a blanket to the back of the knees and support it. Support them, make the opening a little bit greater, right? Or you can keep your buttocks a little bit higher. This is a really, really nice support for the back of the knees, placing a blanket behind. So in this child pose, we're going to take the left arm and thread it behind the right, palm facing up, laying the arm down to the shoulder. You could lay the cheek, the temple down on the floor. those right fingertips into the floor. Press into those right fingertips as you extend the left fingertips even more, twisting to the side. Hips back. Pause here. See if you can take the breath between the shoulder blades. Hanero talalu kodeshem. The holiness of this flame of breath, which we can move throughout the body. Feeling breath open and close the shoulder blades. As they rise and fall. Then pressing into those right fingertips, come back to center. Extend the arms long just for a moment. Kind of a puppy pose. You can walk the fingertips forward. Now the buttocks up a little more in the air. Lengthen the spine. Maybe lay the top of the head down. Elbows are straight. Upper arms spinning up towards the ceiling. Then walk it back once more, buttocks to heels. And we'll spin to the other side. So taking the right arm behind the left, palm facing up, walk those fingertips forward, forward, forward. Lay the shoulder down. Spinning to the left, pressing the left fingertips into the floor. As you lengthen through the right fingertips. Noticing if the twist is a little different on this side. Buttocks hugging down to the heels. Again, find any micro movements that will help you to find a place that's delightful, juicy, or simply safe and restful. Feeling the breath between the shoulder blades, opening and closing. And then pressing into the left fingertips, come back to center. And here's where we're going to take the bolster or blankets or pillows. I have a bolster. You can also, if you have blankets, fold a couple, stack them, pillows. We're going to take the knees wide, bring that bolster or set of blankets in, and lay the upper body down. Turn the head to one side, resting on a cheek. And the arms wherever comfortable, out to the sides or maybe tucked under your pillows, your bolster, your blankets. And once again, you can have some support behind the knees. Just letting go, dropping in. Feeling the breath expand the back body, the back ribs. The back ribs opening like a parachute. You might even feel the breath into the low back, into the sacrum, filling the pelvic bowl. And then taking the head and turning it to the other side, equal time for the other cheek, the other rotation. What needs dedication or rededication within you? How can you be here for yourself as a port in a storm, as a resource? How can you allow your body and your heart to support you, to be your light, to be your Shammash? And as you're ready, slowly walking the hands back toward the body, coming on up. Take your time. We'll lay down on the back. We're going to take a bridge pose. So there are a few options. If you'd like just a really nice restorative bridge, you can take that bolster or blanket or set of blankets right under the low back as I'm modeling for you now. Feet on the floor, knees bent. Just pause here. Well, that's the quieting option. And with this one, we just consider extending the tailbone and letting the hip bones drop down into the bolster. That's the quiet option. And another option is a more young, a more active option, a little more fire. A little more fire, not a ton of fire. If you'd like to join me in this, either one is great. We'll start with our hands long, our arms long. The hands holding either side of the mat is a really nice variation. Draw the feet back towards the sitting bones, in line with the sitting bones, as if you had little skis coming off the sitting bones. Draw the feet back as close to the body as you can. Take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, draw the belly toward the spine. Increase the surface area of the low back, tailbone away from you, and then it begins to lift. The hips lift, press into the feet, lift the thighs. Let the buttocks be as easy as possible. You don't have to do any extra clenching or work. The work will do itself if you simply press those thigh bones, those hip points up towards the ceiling. Coming up the spine towards the shoulders. Take a nice deep inhale here, not all the way at like the tippy top of your bridge, but just a nice bridge. And then as you exhale, drop one vertebra at a time, like pearl after pearl after pearl. Drop them down to the floor and we'll just roll down this bridge. Then we'll come up again. And you get to the bottom, inhaling deeply. Exhale, belly to spine. Tailbone lengthens, press into the feet, lift the hips, roll up the spine. So again, you can hold the hands to the mat as I'm doing. As you lift up, coming to the tops of your shoulders, roll the shoulders under you here if you like, widen the collarbones, lift the heart up. You might keep the hands here, or you might take hold, clasp hands, wriggle the shoulders under you, lengthen the upper arm bones, and draw the knuckles toward the heels as you continue to lift the hips even further. If you have a very fiery inclination in practice, you might come up into a wheel if that's your practice. And breathing here, building some heat. And if you've chosen the restorative option, just continuing with every exhale to allow the pelvis to be a little heavier, drop into that support. And for those in the active bridge, whenever you're ready, beginning to come down on an exhale, vertebra by vertebra. And when you reach the floor, pause. For those of you with support under the low back, you might remove it at this point. Come to lay flat on the floor, long spine. And once again, turning the head side to side, looking over each shoulder. Just feeling what it's like to have support for the spine and support for the head. Support within this bite, within this house. Have the sensation that the spine lengthens as the head turns around it. Increase the light, increase the space between each vertebra. And then as you're ready, come back to stillness and we'll settle into Shavasana, stillness. You might choose a traditional Shavasana with the body fully lengthened on the mat. You might take that bolster or stack of blankets and place it under your knees or under your thighs. It's a really nice support, especially for those of us with lower back issues. If you have your chair nearby and you like the variation with the lower legs on the chair, also so beautiful for your low back. So choose one, choose a variation. Let the arms be easy at the sides, palms facing up. Make yourself very comfortable. Remove your glasses if you wear glasses. You may want to place a blanket or roll up a little mat for under your head. Maybe you have an eye pillow or a t-shirt or something to cover the eyes. It's also very nice. Just a few minutes to let go, let go. Let go. Behold this incredible miracle. This body, this mind, this heart, musculoskeletal system. Thank you. Respiratory system. Thank you. Circulatory system, thank you. Immune system, nervous system, digestive system, elimination, reproductive system. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Endocrine system, on and on and on. Hanerot halalu kodesh hem. Ein lanu reshut lehishtamesh bahem, ela lirotam bilvad. Behold. And then as you're ready, taking a couple of deeper breaths and a yawn sigh with the body. And slowly make your way up to a comfortable seat. Take your time. You have time. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches. And they call again, "It's simple," they say. And you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine. May the light of Chanukah grow for you, fill you, inspire you, so that we can together bring more light to this world. Shavua Tov. I'll put a few things into the chat, and I have some time to stay for Q&A. If you're on your way, I wish you well. A beautiful, beautiful week. Thanks for practicing. A couple of announcements. There's a new podcast from IJS, Open My Heart, Living Jewish Prayer. I'll put that in the chat. There's no class on December 28th, the last week of the month. In fact, no sits, no IJS during that we're taking off for that final week. So I wanted to let you know. And please save the date for our next day of practice. It's January 24th, Sunday from 12 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern. It is focused on embodied practice. It's called She is a Tree of Life, Celebrating Our Bodies, Our Interconnection, and the Renewal of Tu B'Shvat. Both myself and Rabbi Miriam Klotz will be among the teachers doing yoga and other somatic work. So we're excited for that. And lastly, I want to share my screen and take you to the website so I can show you how to access the yoga recordings that are there. So let me show you this. So I'm sharing the screen. You need to log in. Once you log in, you go to your courses, the courses. Wait, is that right? Your dashboard. You go to the dashboard. Wait, no, sorry. You go to learn. You go to learn, and then you go to resource library. And in resource library, you go to the final page, page 5. And ta-da, there are 4 practices: Bereshit, Noach, Lech Lecha, Vayera. There are also practices on the Shofar project page. So I hope that is helpful. And let's see, I wanted to let you know that poem, When I Am Among the Trees, by Mary Oliver.
When I'm among the trees.
Link for the podcast. And finally, our day of practice. Save the date for January 24th. Okay, got it. Please feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question or a thought about today's practice.
Lizzie?
Yes.
It's Linda. I wanted to compliment you on the choice of words that you use